I love the United States of America. I have spent the majority of my adult life in service to the country. I fought in 4 combat deployments over a 20-year plus military career, and I have spent every day since that time trying to serve our country in different ways. And I don't apologize for that in the least. I don't think many people should apologize for loving their country. I also really care about Israel. Actually, my wife and I had a trip planned there just 3 months from now. We were going to make our first trip to Israel. We were so looking forward to going there. And of course, that's all been turned upside down and canceled based on what's going on over there. But I care a great deal about the Israeli people and want nothing but them to have peace. So I am definitely pro-Israel and I am pro-American. But if it comes down to, am I pro-Israeli government policy or am I pro-American? I can assure you, I will always come down on the side of pro-American. And right now, folks, I'm going to tell you something that maybe a lot of you aren't going to like. I know some people in this country are definitely not going to like it because there is almost just categorical rejection of anything questioning any policy by the Israeli government, as though there's something sacrosanct about it that you can't even ask a question. Well, I'm asking a question here today. I'm making some statements as well. And I'm going to show you some information and talk to you some rational, logical things that are going to make it understand that America does not need to be completely reflexive. Whatever Israel says is what we'll do. If what Israel says is beneficial to America, then by all means, let's help support them. If Israel is having some trouble and some challenges that we can help, and it also benefits the other people in the region, again, I'm all for that. America has a long history of helping lots of other people, of sacrificing for the benefit of others. And I'm proud of that legacy that our country has established over decades and centuries. And I want to see that continue on into the forward. However, when it gets to a situation to where even a friendly government is taking action that is antithetical to American interest and literally, physically puts Americans in harm's way and indirectly results in their deaths, my friends, I'm out on that. And you should be too. And it is time to make some changes in American policy, both for the benefit of Israel and for the benefit of the United States. Let me tell you why. Benjamin Netanyahu is right now pursuing a path that cannot succeed. He is emphatically saying that he is defending his country and he is defending the citizens of Israel so that he can bring peace to Israel. He is failing utterly, horribly right now. Benjamin Netanyahu was the guy in charge who allowed the conditions to build up that resulted in the 10/7 terrorist attack. Now, let me point blank clarify here in case anybody's questioning. Hamas conducted a terrorist attack on 10/7 against innocent people in Israel, and they should be condemned with it, period, full stop. No asterisk, no nothing. For what they did, there is no justification for it. If they felt they were being oppressed, there were other things that they could have done. And we're not going to talk about that today. But once they crossed the line and murdered innocent civilians and a bunch of civilians at a concert, that's it. They forfeited any right to have a good position. The Hamas people, the people who did that, forfeited that. The Palestinian people did not forfeit anything. And in fact, for the innocent Israeli people to be killed was a crime against humanity. For innocent Palestinian people to be killed for nothing they did is also a crime. And those two things are both true at the same time. So this is not taking Hamas's side. I am unequivocally, absolutely, categorically against Hamas and condemn utterly without asterisk what they did. So let's get that cleared out of the way from the beginning. But what Netanyahu is doing in the way he's going about allegedly to protect his country is having the exact opposite effect. It is stirring up the situation. It is making the entire region boil because he is killing so many innocent Palestinian people. And even though with words they claim that they're doing everything they can to protect the civilians, it's flat out untrue. And I know for certain it is because, folks, I've been in combat 4 times. Other of my friends have physically conducted missions just like this, to where they had to root out terrorist people who were hiding among the civilian population in a very densely populated city in Iraq, in Ramadi. and how hard it was for us to root those people out. It took us 7 months to get this job done. We had one of those fighters actually on our show a couple of months or so back, and he talked to us, Jim Webb, about how hard it was to do that and how much care they put in taking care of the civilian population. And at the end of the day, the city was largely spared. The civilian population did suffer some, but in relatively small numbers, and they actually succeeded in clearing the place out. The city was still stood and with minimal damage. That's what it looks like. It's hard work, but Israel's not doing the hard work. They're actually in fact, I don't care what any words say. You can just look on the ground. Gary shows you guys some of this B-roll all the time of the city and the entire infrastructure just being methodically wiped out. So don't tell me that they're actually trying to take care of people. They're clearly not, as entire apartment complexes have been leveled. That's not intelligence-driven operation. So full stop on that too. That's the truth. So I don't want to hear any more nonsense about this, like this images you're seeing there are methodical operations that are only going after targeted output. They're not. They're completely wiping things out. Okay, that has ramifications. Okay, so all of this mess that's going on in the Red Sea, why is that? Where's that from? That comes because the Houthis, in trying to stand in solidarity with the Palestinians who were being killed, says we're going to start interjecting into the Red Sea. And so they initially claimed they were going after Israeli targets, but now they're just shooting whatever because they want to gum it up for Israel. So they want to mess the whole thing up for the U.S. economy, for the Israeli economy, and the Western economy, to bring light onto what's happening in Palestine. They expressly say that these attacks are directly tied to what is happening to the Palestinian people. All of these attacks against our troops in Syria and Iraq have come expressly as a result of what's going on against the Palestinian people in the Hamas-Israeli war. When our troops were killed the other day, they again came out, these Islamic resistance in Iraq, expressly said this is in retaliation for what's happening to the Palestinian people. The attack that happened just hours ago on this very day, that 7 Syrian Democratic Forces, 7 Kurdish of our allies on our base in Syria were killed today. I think 18 to 30 more, depending on what the current numbers are, were wounded in that. Again, they expressly said these attacks are not going to stop. They won't stop until the Israelis stop attacking into Palestine. That's what this is saying. So Netanyahu's actions have direct antithetical relations with America. So now then, we are potentially in a position of, because Iran is supporting a lot of these groups, that there's pressure on the president to actually go into Iran to attack them. And there's no shortage of people that are pleading with president to go into Iran. But you see, like it's been shown on here, the people of Palestine are suffering. This is what the Arabs see. This is what some of these people see. So when you wonder why they're attacking our troops there, folks, these are images right here are some of the reasons why. Because they can't go up directly against Israel. They don't have a way to get there. The only thing they can do is hit exposed American troops or to hit ships that are out in the Red Sea where the Houthis have access to missiles. So they're doing whatever they can. And all of it is because Netanyahu keeps going on this war and he does not listen to anything the Americans say. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu, back on the 18th of January, infamously came on and said, listen, I hear what Americans are saying because, Kirby, Sullivan, Biden kept saying, well, we're telling them to be careful with the civilian populations and they're doing all they can. And then clearly nothing was being changed. Nothing was happening on the ground. They're doing whatever they wanted to do. So they ignored us. Well, Netanyahu went out on the 18th of January and said, yeah, I'm going to tell you no. Listen to this.
For 30 years, I am very consistent, and I'm saying something very simple. This conflict is not on the lack of a state of Palestinian, but the existence of a state, the Jewish state. Every area that we evacuate, we receive terrible terror against that. It happened in South Lebanon, in Gaza, and also Judea and Samaria, which we did it. And therefore, I clarify that in any other arrangement, in the future, the state of Israel have to control on the entire area from the river to the sea. This is what happens when you have sovereignty. This truth I say to our American friends. And I also stopped the attempt to impose on us a reality that will jeopardize us. A prime minister in Israel has to be able to say no, even to the best of friends. To say no when you need to and to say yes when you can.
Oh, now that was in direct response to what Biden had been saying since October of last year was, we're insisting on a two-state solution. We want a two-state solution. That's everything. So you can't just destroy everything in the Gaza Strip because there's got to be a two-state solution there. Ergo, they have to be able to live there to have one. That was Netanyahu's, that was his response to that. Well, the next day, Biden was asked, hey, we heard what Netanyahu said yesterday, and you've been saying a two-state solution. How's all that working together? Here's his response.
Reconsider conditions on Israel aid given what Netanyahu said about a one-state?
I think we'll be able to work something out.
What does that mean?
There are a number of types of two-state solutions. There's a number of countries that are members of the UN that are still don't have their own military. A number of states that have limitations on it. And so I think there's ways in which this could work.
But Bibi has said he's opposed to any of two-state solutions.
Say that.
So what is he open to?
I'll let you know.
Did you talk about it this morning?
She pointed out Netanyahu said no two-state solution. Oh, no, he didn't say that. Yeah, he did. He did say that. He said that in that comment indirectly, but they all across the board, he has been emphatic. Many of his spokesmen, we had on our show a couple of months back, one of the ambassadors to the UK, an Israeli ambassador, who said, no, absolutely not. No two-state solution. So yeah, they did. But you see, there has not, the United States has been unwilling to impose anything at all on Israel. We have not, and instead, right now in the U.S. House of Representatives, there's a bill out there to give $17 billion with no strings attached, with no offsets for our economy, with no concurrent funding elsewhere, with nothing for the border. An absolute unencumbered bill for the exclusive benefit of Israel, on top of the $14 billion we've already given them. Now, as I've been telling you, and probably you've read on your own, sometimes up to 3 plane loads of military gear and ammunition per day are landing in Tel Aviv and given that. That's what's already here. And now then, when the Prime Minister of Israel publicly basically told the United States to pound sand, I don't want to hear your opinions. We're going to do whatever we're going to do, but give me the cash. And we're saying, okay, even though we're on the brink of possibly getting sucked into a war with Iran, even though we're now in an open-ended situation in the Red Sea where we have to keep attacking all these situations in the Houthis, and now they have vowed retaliation against us, against these groups in the Middle East, these Kataib Hezbollah, the Islamic resistance of Iraq, and so far, not any of the Iranian groups, but many people want them to keep doing that, and then you'll just add that to the list of people who want to attack Americans. Now, listen, that attack that killed the Syrian Democratic Forces today killed Kurdish fighters only because that's where the drone happened to hit, on a base where there were Americans. I assure you, they were not shooting for the Kurds. They wanted us and just didn't get them this time. But it's just a roll of the dice to where we're going to continue to get Americans killed because our president will not do anything to protect our soldiers. Again, I told you at the beginning, I am pro-American. And it is supposed to be the job of the President of the United States to ensure our economic prosperity, our security, and defend our troops. That doesn't mean to take action that causes our enemies to attack our troops while doing nothing to protect them. It is time to say, hey, we can be friends with Israel. We can be allies with Israel. It's not free. We don't just hand a blank check to Israel and say, do whatever you want, even though it harms us. Now, this is just show you how poisonous the atmosphere in America is. So Representative Thomas Massey actually wrote a tweet when he was asked what his position was on this $17 billion. And he said that the speaker just announced that instead of the House will vote on a clean bill to send 14.3. Turned out it was actually 17. Israel has a lower debt to GDP ratio than the United States. This spending package has no offset, so it will increase our debt by an equal amount there. So I'm a no. So he's saying, look, he wasn't even looking at it from the strategic point of view. He's saying, hey, if you're not even going to offset this by spending money on something else, or spending less on something else so we don't add to the debt, he says, then I'm a no on that. And by the way, Israel has a lot more room. That if it's about cash, they've got the cash. So they don't actually need this from the United States. Now, what was the reaction to that, do you think? Gary, put that one back up there. This is a writer from, I believe it's the New York Post, had this choice little thing here. Of course you're a no, you disingenuous piece of anti-Semitic filth. That is a disgusting epithet. All Massey said was nothing about Israel, nothing against Israel. He just said, hey, this is not a good deal for America. Israel has money. They have their own. Their debt to GDP ratio is better than ours. And if there's not going to be an offset so that we're not just going to add to our debt for the benefit of Israel, he said that I'm a no. That's a responsible position for an American official. That's actually what we're supposed to do. But yet he is viciously attacked by this very unkind statement that says basically, and that's what you see a lot. People attack viciously anyone who dares to suggest that we don't give an absolute blank check to anything the government of Israel wants to do, even when it harms our country. And I'm a hard no on that, my friend. And if you want to write about that, Mr. Potterhertz, go ahead and do it, because I will be happy to challenge that one. Because you are wrong, and anyone who has that viewpoint is wrong when you say that the U.S. government should give as much money as Israel asks for, no questions asked, no strings attached, even when it harms America. I'm tired of that. And I bet a lot of you are too. I'm ready to start seeing our government take care of our people. Let's be a friend. Let's help our allies when we can. But when they take action that is antithetical to our interests, we got to diverge. Netanyahu clearly said he would tell America no when it didn't work in his favor. I want to see the American president be willing to tell the Israeli prime minister no when he crosses a line into areas that harm our interest. Instead of like saying, hey, let's go to war with Iran, which, by the way, would be a big help for Israel. They would love it if we go to war with Iran. They've been trying to get us to do that for years. Instead of going down a path that's right on the edge of getting us sucked into a war, how about we tell our friends, back off what you're doing. Let's hold them liable to the same military standards we hold our own troops to. If we tell the American troops that when you go into harm's way, you have to do everything possible to limit civilian casualties, and if you don't, you're going to answer for it because that harms our interests, and we succeed. Why should we not hold Israel to the exact same standard with our money when we're the one? Because just imagine if we give them this money with no strings attached and they continue to kill Palestinian people, then indirectly we're part culpable for that, because that shows that we are supporting the Israeli government in their policies. I don't support that, and I hope you don't either. Now, that's not going to be very popular among the folks, but folks, like I keep telling you all the time, we're unintimidated and we're uncompromised on giving you the truth. What I told you is the truth. It's not good for Israel. It's going to undermine their security. It's not going to help it. Benjamin Netanyahu is taking his country on a path that is not going to succeed. I don't want our country, our leaders, to take us down the same destructive path. It's time to change the policies. Thank you very much for watching us today. Listen, you want to stick around because in about 10 minutes at 4 p.m., we're going to bring on Doug McGregor, who's going to be talking about the other aspect of that, whether we should bomb Iran or whether we should not. He's going to have some very interesting things to say. You're not going to want to miss it. Thanks, and we'll see you in just about 10 minutes on Daniel Davis Deep Dive.